This is so far not really working out, is it? I mean, I think the people around the country are furious that these asylum seekers, they pitch up on our beaches. Now, a number of them are saying that the accommodation isn't up to their required standards, so they won't board that boat. Others have developed a mysterious terror of water, having just come across the channel in a small boat or a rubber dinghy. These are the immigration lawyers doing what they traditionally do. The government needs to stop this pretty quickly and get a grip on it. Don't you agree?
Yes, I do. And I think that there is a plan here, which, as you know, this isn't one barge. They're already planning to bring other barges exactly the same. The determination of the government, as I understand it, is that they will make sure that they use these barges, not hotels. So they're going to need more of them. They've already, I gather, commissioned more. So the plan is to get them into these barges. It's the men, not women and children. It's the men who are here. The second thing is, I don't know how you suddenly discover a fear of water after having paid traffickers to get you over the sea, and then suddenly you just have a peculiar aversion to it. These barges are like houses, just happen to be moored on the side of the quay. And I remind many of those lawyers that actually they recall there was in fact a prison ship that was there for some time, up until about 2006, I seem to recall, and I don't think many of them were that concerned about it then. So the reality is that the government has got to say nonsense, and they've got to take these people to the barges. If they want to make a case, they should make a case from the barges, not outside the barges. They are given one offer only, and if they fail to do that, the government does have the right to take away their asylum status. My worry with these ridiculous lawyers is that what they're doing is that they're trashing the real issue of those who have been trafficked for slavery. A very small minority of them, but they're the ones that will lose out on this, because the more you abuse this position, the less the government are prepared to listen to it. And I think that's the sad tragedy of this.
Agreed. And I think people are encouraged by ostensibly the government's tough stance on this, saying you've got 24 hours. You get on that boat or that barge, or we take away government support. So, you know, and their application for asylum is duly cancelled. But if that happens, Sir Iain, and I think it's a good plan, I think we should get tough with them. They got no right to stand there and say this isn't up to my required standards. If we do take away government support, what happens to them then?
Well, this has always been the big issue here, which is one of the reasons the problems come is because of the Blair government's use of the law to bring what they call direct application of the Convention of Human Rights into UK law, which means UK judges now have to implement that rather than it going to the court itself in Europe and them ruling on it. The government's making a decision whether or not they implement it. In fact, it's now directly applicable. That means that we have to be able to send them back to places that will take them. So one of the questions is that they don't all come from war-torn areas. So it's important for the government to make sure that those who don't can be sent back, if necessary, to those places. And the other option, of course, and they do have some of those, the other option, of course, is to get this thing through so that Rwanda comes into play. The moment Rwanda comes into play, then that would be the place that the government, if all else fails, could send them to. So this last court case needs to get done pretty quickly in the autumn, one way or the other, so that we can sort that out. And I do hope that the Supreme Court recognises the government does have the right to deal with those that they don't believe have a right to be here.
I mean, these immigration lawyers, I suppose they're working within the law. We know what they're up to. They do this all the time, you know, coming up with reasons, excuses. Oh, look, they're terrified of water. Really? I doubt that very much. Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, says, and no one is saying that these lawyers are operating outside of the law, but the Daily Mail, was it the beginning of last week or the end of the week before, exposed a bunch of these lawyers, a bunch of these legal operatives who were helping migrants in exchange for thousands of pounds invent stories of their ordeal at the hands of torturers in their war-torn experiences, and telling them, oh, say you have suicidal thoughts, all the triggers that tend to get your application accepted. So they're breaking the law. So Suella Braverman is the front page of the Times, I think it is today, suggesting that some of these lawyers should get life imprisonment. Certainly would send them a message. Couldn't we start with this tough line stance with the lawyers who were photographed and recorded in the Daily Mail, who, as far as I understand, so far have not even been talked to by the police? That would be a good place to start, would it not?
Yeah, certainly. I would encourage the police to take an interest in what they have to do. But I understand, though, that they've been suspended as losing their licenses to practice. I may be completely wrong, but I was under the impression...
Their firms have been closed down, and
Yeah.
I think they are facing suspension of their right to practice law. But they broke the law. They broke the law very seriously, and therefore I would suggest that never mind closing down their practices and taking their licences away, they need to get their collars felt by the police, don't they?
Yes, I'm not an expert in this part of the law, but it certainly seems to me necessary that if you are abusing a system deliberately, if it was welfare, for example, then you'd be arrested, and therefore the same principles apply here. If the lawyers are abusing their rights and their privileges that they have, then they should face the full force of the law, no question at all about it. As I come back to the point I made, those who are genuinely in need are ill-served by this, because what they do then is they lock up the whole system with bogus claims, and those who really need support from the UK, a small minority, but they are ones who are desperate, they don't get a look in because they are crowded out by all of those who are claiming all sorts of abuse which is undocumented at all.